Oh, hi, Brenda.
Hi,
How are you?
everyone. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So far, you are the first one on. Usually, I give it a few minutes at the beginning of the hour for people to join. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. In the past, there's about several people sign up. Only a few tend to show up, and
Mm-hmm.
so we won't wait too much. We won't wait too long because we want to be respectful of everyone's time.
Radio,
Yes.
not a problem.
All right, I'll give it a few seconds, okay? All right, so it is 7:03. Let's go ahead and jump right in. And again, anybody who chooses to join after can definitely choose to do so. And I'm just setting up the, I'm supposed to do pin and then, yes, okay. All right, great. So, good evening. And by the way, Brenda, I am recording this. So, if you or anybody you know or others who are watching the replay can absolutely watch the replay when I send out the link afterwards. So, this is recorded. So, if anything that you need to go back on and listen to, feel free to do so. But this is the Getting Good with Money Virtual Book Club Session 1. I'm Tara Jones-Williamson, which is the facilitator for this. So excited to be here. All right. And yes, if you have any questions or comments that you want to put up, feel free to use the chat box because I look at that. I have it like on off to the left side of my screen so I can watch everything that is being communicated. So, welcome. And Brenda, have I met you before at any event or presentation or anything by chance?
No, we have not met in the flesh, but I have discovered your YouTube channel most recently, and I've been watching all of your videos, and
Yay!
why I'm here, but no, we haven't met in the flesh.
Okay, 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 sounds good. And are you in the are you from Michigan or a different area?
I'm in New York.
New York, nice. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm excited to do this book club. I do this once a month. And we do it for 3 weeks. So it's going to be tonight, the next week, and then the week after that.
Mhm.
Um, it is co-sponsored by 1,000 Families of Color. And so, Brenda, I am in the Grand Rapids area, which is Kent County, Michigan. And 1,000 Families of Color is a local nonprofit. And so I just want to put this out there for the replay viewers that if you are in the Kentwood, Ottawa, or Muskegon counties here in Michigan, 1,000 Families of Color provides the book complimentary to you as well as a copy of the financial planner. And so please pick up the book at the following location: Brown Hutchinson Ministries, 618 Jefferson Avenue Southeast. Grand Rapids, Michigan 49503 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 10 and 2:30. All right. So this is a little bit more about 1,000 Families of Color. They are a group of real estate agents who would like to see more Black and Brown individuals in home ownership, building wealth, having real estate careers or related adjacent careers in the real estate industry. And so to learn more about them, you go to 1000familiesoc.com, 1000familiesoc.com, or you can email them at info@yourprettypennies.com. All right. So I'm going to ask you, do you happen to have this book, Brenda?
So I have the digital copy with the
Okay.
library. I don't have a personal copy, which I will have to get because I wanted to highlight um, so many points that she made. But
Mm-hmm.
for now, I do have. I'm checking it out at the library. And as far as the financial planner, I don't have that one yet either.
Okay. Well, yep. The emails that you received, I made sure to put a link in there for those of you, for those of the individuals who are not in the Grand Rapids area and cannot get it for free, that they could order it online. So you should have had the link to that in your email, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, beautiful.
Yep. And I agree when it comes to this book, and that's why I kind of want to jump into it. And lucky you, one thing about finances that I'm noticing, because if I was talking about love or dating or getting yourself together, I will have a ton of people on the live stream, right? But when it comes to finances, most people are excited and try, and they do want to show up for their finances, but sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's a little bit of self sabotage, doubt, struggle, mindset issue that blocks them from really taking that step. And so, like I said, usually we will have quite a few signups, not a lot of people join, and that's okay. One of the things that I've been loving, noticing this though, doing this on Tuesday evenings, is that when we have about 1 to 3 people on the call, I can actually treat this almost like a one-on-one session where we can kind of tailor what we talk about based on you. You know what I'm saying? And if nobody else shows up, only you can get the replay, because if we're being a little personal and talking about more personal things, you might not want everybody to have the replay, right? And so if they didn't show up, they really don't get the replay. So if that happens, typically people join in at about the 10-15 minute mark. But if it stays between you and I, we can just kind of go based on how you want it to flow tonight, okay? And another thing, I do totally agree about you getting your own physical copy of this book. I really think that this book, like I said in previous times, it's almost like, how like in personal development, you have like those 1 to 5 books where you read almost like at the top of every year, and it kind of gets your mind right, gets you back on track, gets you rededicated to your goals. You know what I'm saying? Like gets you
Yeah.
fired up, amped up. You know what I'm saying?
Like a
Mhm.
reset book.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like this is that. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this is that. And when you do, you will find that every time you read it, you might be in a different place. And so that place will stick out to you. Let's say, for example, you're like, okay, I really need to start saving money. Okay. Well, when you read this book, that the chapter saving money might be the one that you really stay into and stay connected to in order to get over that financial goal, right? And then the next time you read it, you might be knee deep into paying off debt, right? So then maybe that chapter will stick out to you. And then maybe next time you read it, right, you're going to be building wealth or thinking about retirement funding or whatever the case is, it's in here for you. Right. And I also use this almost like as a financial manual where you can go through in the front and you can be like, okay, I have, for example, insurance policies, our insurance are starting to renew. We're getting into that open enrollment period, right? You can literally go to Getting Good with Insurance, Chapter 8, starting at page 236, and say, okay, all right, these are my background, what's going on, my family size, whatever else. Let me read this chapter to see what's the best setup for me for health insurance where I pay the least amount but get the coverage that I need, right? Because not all coverage is the same. How a person covers themselves as far as health insurance who is a single woman is very different than a married woman with 5 children, right? The package and the plan that they choose is very different. Even if you're a single woman and you have no past medical history, you just need your yearly exam. What medical coverage you need is very different than a person who was born with type 1 diabetes and is constantly at the hospital or at doctor's offices and needs a lot of prescriptions and checkups and blood work done, that type of thing. So I always suggest use this as a financial manual, and you can even, skip through the chapters based on what you need in that moment, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes complete sense. It
All
it
right.
does kind of read like a go-to for, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, whatever area you need the most
Mm-hmm.
help in. So I could see myself using the book in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I tell people it's not like a cozy book where you're going to cuddle up and read it in one sitting. No, it's not that type of book. It's that type of book where you need to get remotivated and dedicated to your financial goals. And if you need to find out some information, and if you want to step by step, like, okay, I'm totally lost in this area. I forgot what Tara said on that live stream. Let me go back to this book and see what was said, type of thing. Yeah.
Right.
So session one, we'll be going over getting to know financial wholeness, building a budget, and saving like a squirrel. Okay. Session two, which is next week, Tuesday, we'll be talking about digging ourselves out of debt, credit scores, increasing your income, retirement, and wealth building, which are some good topics as well. And then session three, we'll be going over getting good with insurance. And that's health insurance, auto insurance, life insurance. It really kind of deep dives in all the insurance policies. Again, so you could be like, okay, this is a stage and era I am in my life. What type of coverage do I need? And then when you're married with children, what type of coverage do you need? And then your retirement, there's women who are in retirement age with no children in the household and husband passed away. Very different life insurance, very different health insurance, very different auto insurance, right? So then chapter 9 is talking about increasing your net worth. And then chapter 10 is talking about picking your money team or financial professionals. And then chapter 11 is leaving a legacy / estate planning. All right. Now, as you can see, there's a lot to go over in this book. And so we have 1 hour a week in order to go over it. So this is by no means a true overview of the book. This is us pulling out some of the things and harping on what we want to harp on every week. But reading the book in its entirety or listening to the audio book, getting the digital book from the ebook from the library is great too, to where you know all of the details in the chapter, because there's no way we'll be able to cover that in an hour, right? And so one thing I love about this book is that Tiffany Alicia, she's actually an educator. So she breaks down the chapters in true educator fashion, where she starts off with a chapter overview or a summary of like, hey, this is what you're about to read. And then she gets into the action steps and she puts it in bold, like, what are your steps in order to accomplish in this section? And then she gives you a summary of what you read. So even though the financial content may be a little extra, she really tries to help us digest it in a really easy way. So I love that about this book. All right, so let's jump right in. Getting to know financial wholeness. All right, so according to Tiffany Alicia, the Budgetnista, financial wholeness is when all aspects of our financial lives work together for our greatest good, our biggest benefit, and our richest life, right? I love this because even as a financial coach with Your Pretty Pennies, that's my own personal brand. And when I teach one on one and coach people one on one, my biggest thing is like, what is the lifestyle that you're trying to create for yourself, right? It's 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 important to have financial goals. It's important to have good financial literacy and acumen. But we need to go a step further. What is your greatest good? What is the richest life? And not rich necessarily in money, but rich as in feeling, as in time, as in freedom, as in like, what do you want to do? What do you get to do with your money? Right. And I love the fact that she kind of takes that approach as well. She's not just like one of those stuffy financial coaches or educators where it's just based on money. We have to remember that financial management is just one part of our lives. And unfortunately, as much as we think we can compartmentalize, we really can't, right? So if our finances is in a rut, typically another area is in a rut. So if we get our finances together, in my opinion, it spills over into other areas, right? When my money is good, I'm able to work out like I want to. I'm able to afford fitness classes. I'm able to afford going out. My mind is clear. I'm excited to go network and build my business. I'm excited to learn new ways to manage money. If I'm in a financial rut, I'm defeated. I'm depressed. I'm irritated. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to want to do other things that's going to elevate my lifestyle, right? So I really love that she talks about financial wholeness as a whole, okay? And so the 10 things she says that we should get together in the areas of finances is budgeting, savings, debt repayment, our credit, our income, retirement and investments, our insurance policies, our network, financial advisors, and estate planning. And if you haven't noticed, those are exactly what each chapters are based on. She breaks this down into 10 chapters, right? So let's jump into one of the things she talks about in this first chapter, which is getting to know financial wholeness. She talks about a little bit of mindset work, right? She wants us to identify our financial influences and patterns and identify their consequences, right? Number two, establish your financial voice and use it to take charge. Number three, find a reason for gratitude. Number four, live for joy. Number five, surround yourself with positivity and accountability. All right. Now, usually in these workshops, I don't really spend too much time on this. I want individuals to definitely do this though, and identify their financial influences and patterns. When I first started teaching this course or this book, I did this myself, and I realized the two biggest financial influences for myself was my mother and my grandmother. My mother is her and my dad were married, but she was just always a boss in her own right. Since she graduated high school at 17, she went off to the Air Force and she worked her way up. And when she got out, she worked her way up in the workforce. She's just always been a force to reckon with. Now my mom is 65 years old and she has a really great retirement account stacked up. She gets several streams of income because she worked for the military, so she gets retirement pay. And then she also worked for the government, very strategic when she got out. And so she gets retirement from the government. And then she's managed her money really well. She has a really low debt and she bought her own home and it's almost paid off, right? So I have that financial influence. But then also I have my grandmother who I spent almost half my childhood with, as long as with my family. I'm the youngest of six, and my grandmother spoiled me. So I wanted to be where I'm one of one, not one of six, right? So I was at my grandmother's house, and she was a stay-at-home mom. My grandmother was from the silent generation. She was a stay-at-home mom, right? She was the type to have everything cooked and cleaned, and she taught me how to just puts around the house and keep a tidy home and fold laundry and do all this. My mom was not doing all that. Listen, the house was running over in laundry at my mom's house. But at my grandma's house, who had just as many kids when she was young, she always kept the tight ship. Her husband worked, my grandfather worked, and she stayed at home. When he passed away, she got that retirement money. And now she lives very comfortably on that money that he left her, but she didn't make a money of her own, right? Her goal in life, even during working age, was really set on her children. And then when she started having grandchildren, she really doted on them and keeping a house and making life comfortable for herself and my grandfather. Very different than my mother. My mother was climbing the corporate ladder. She wasn't thinking about, she loved her kids and she was thinking about her kids, but she wasn't really thinking about being a homemaker or setting a home for my dad. Like, no, they were both worked 9 to 5, right? If anything, my dad cooked every night, actually. My dad, he loves cooking and he cooks every night. And so I have two very different financial influences. All right. So, what about you, Brenda? Can you identify at least one financial influence and the pattern or identify their influence in your life?
Yes, I can. So for me, I would say they would be my parents, and they both have different approaches to money, to working, to spending. My mom was more, she was more into the finer things in life. So she loves to spend, she loves to splurge. Like and that was actually one of the reasons why they actually didn't make it as a couple, because my dad was more of the saver, he was more practical. Um, he was like, if there's not a reason to get new curtains this season or this week, then, we don't need to get new curtains. So I definitely experienced that push and pull within myself when it comes to like spending money. Like sometimes, I do want to spend, and then other times it's like I'm like hoarding. So it's like this back and forth, and right now it's just about me finding the balance and finding what my individual, like what Brenda's mindset is, And it's funny because in the book, and I like the storytelling aspect to her writing as well. But she mentioned, I think, visiting her cousins in Nigeria, and how it really reflected. She realized her materialistic kind of tendencies, and resonated with me being second generation, my parents being Haitian. And whenever I used to go to Haiti, I used to just feel so fulfilled and so at peace with the simplicity of it all. And that is the sort of life that I want to lead for myself. It really is simplicity, and right now it doesn't really reflect that. Right now I'm like, why does being simple have to be so expensive? But it really doesn't, So, yeah, hopefully that answered the question. I feel like I kind of went down a rabbit hole a little bit,
You did
but
not. You did not. And remember, it's only us, so we're good.
right.
And so, it's so funny you say that because I too have those moments. For number one, I'm Black American. So my grandparents and great grandparents were slaves in America. Before then, I'm not sure where they came from, right? Like I
Mm,
think we have some Caribbean in my on my mom's side, but it's really not clear, right? We can only
mm,
track from slavery, not much before. And so going to the South, so for my mother's side, I met my great grandmother before she passed. She was 103. She still stayed on the plantation that her and her husband was a slave on. Once the Emancipation Proclamation happened and the slaves became free, they allowed my grandfather and his wife, which is my grandmother, stay on the property, and they built them a house on the property that was called sharecroppers, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah, like you can basically where you can share a plot of land and they basically still used you, but they paid you as a slave. You're no longer a slave. They kind of look at you still as a slave, you know what I'm saying? Because you just was yesterday and now today they gotta pay you a little bit. And so basically I had went down there a couple of years ago with my mom, and my grandmother, she outlives her husband. She still has his dog, and she's just moving around, and she just has this. It's like a cabin. What I look at, it's like a cabin or like a trailer, and it's so small, but she had everything within reach, and the outside was just so beautiful, and just, I mean, I just felt at peace, like in my mind until then, I never would have thought that I could be the ones. And even used to say when I watched the tiny home videos or the tiny home shows, like, oh, I couldn't live in that small of a house and where everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, exactly, elevated slavery, exactly, girl. So when I went down there, I felt such a sense of peace. I didn't feel like the hustle and bustle, the anxiety, feeling like I had to do too much and I got to work. How you feel, when you're in America. And then I had the ability to go to Malawi, Africa when I was in college. And now, Africa, there are areas where it's more developed than others, and there's still very much rural areas where people are more impoverished, and they're living in huts and things like that. But then there's areas where there's gold lined into their compounds, and they got compounds, and whatever. Like it's a range of wealth in Africa. And so when I went to Malawi, the Wi-Fi cuts off at about 5 or 6 o'clock. The electricity cuts off. Like it's a widespread outage. It don't matter if it was rich or poor. Everybody lights out. Everybody, right? And everybody just went outside. They had dinner. And the reason why that happens is because of the energy grid in most places. Like all of that energy expelled, it can only be expelled until a certain amount of time, and then it's shutting off, right? Which I think we should have here, because if the Wi-Fi turned off, if the internet turned off, and if the lights turned off, when I tell you my anxiety would be zero, my sleep would be so much better. But I'm sitting here fighting sleep because I'm trying to see what's on TikTok, and oh, let me just post this, and let me just catch up with everybody, right? Like, why? I just identified so much when you said that. Like, we crave the simplicity, but to be simplistic in a capitalistic society is hard, very hard, extremely hard. Hey, Tasha,
Hello.
how are you? Did you get my text message?
No, but we'll talk later
Okay,
when we have a
okay,
moment.
okay. Sounds good. We could talk after this. All
Okay,
right,
great.
so we talked about chapter one, and Tasha just coming in. We're just talking about chapter one, and we're actually identifying our financial influences in our lives. I said it was my grandmother and my mother who were like the major financial influences, and then Brenda shared her parents and how one is a saver, one is a spender, and so even now she kind of pulls and tugs. It's like an internal battle of when to save, when to spend. Just because she has both of those influences growing up. All right. So we're about to jump right into chapter two. And chapter two is all about budget building. All right. And Tasha has taken this class before, or this workshop, but I always tell people keep coming back, because every time I do this, depending on who's in the room, we talk about new different subjects. It goes down a new trajectory and you learn something new. Right. So let me ask you both a question. What are your questions in regards to budgeting and what you've read from chapter two? Or are there any questions or comments or thoughts? I feel like this chapter is pretty straightforward. Um,
I would agree. I would
mhm,
agree.
yeah.
Mm.
It's really that, again, creating that budget, creating that money in list. And remember, the chapters in this book, they really go in depth. So feel free to read over this and say, what is a money in list? That means your income sources, your income streams. Money out list, that means your monthly expenses. And then step number three, calculate how much each expense costs you monthly, right? And then number four, calculate your beginning monthly savings. The reason why she says this is because when you get out a sheet of paper, get out your financial planner, whatever you're using, you'll put your income at the top. Let's say, for example, it's $5,000, right? And then you'll put your expenses down and how much they cost. Let's say when you did the calculation on how much your monthly expenses are, including how much you spend on groceries, how much you spend dining out, how much you spend on childcare, on gas for your car, including your insurance policy premiums, everything, right? Let's say if it comes up to $4,300, right? So if you have a monthly income of 5,000 and you have a monthly expense outgo of 44,300, how much do you have left over to potentially put into savings? So that'd be 5,000 minus 4,300. How much is that? Oh, I'll wait. 5,000 minus 4,300.
I missed it. I missed the actual formula.
Okay, so money in minus money out. So your income, let's say I'm using an example, right? So the example is you have an income of $5,000 a month. And when you
Right.
do your money out list and you calculate how much your expenses are monthly, the total amount of everything you calculated is 4,300. So how much do you have left over after you pay for all of your expenses a month?
700.
700, right? And so she's saying that $700 you can use to go towards a financial goal, right? So she
Hmm.
says the first thing that we should be doing, if anybody doesn't have this, is establishing an emergency fund, money set aside for any future financial emergency. So she's like, that's your beginning monthly savings amount. That's $700, right? She's like, okay, but if we go to step number 6 and we can identify some areas in which we can cut back a little bit, we can increase that number from 700 to like 1,000 a month going towards savings to where it only takes us 2 months to save a $2,000 emergency fund. And then we can move on to the next financial goal, like building a greater savings account, or it can be I'm going to stop at 2,000 with my savings and I'm going to start paying off some debt, and I'm going to use that 2,000 to pay off that debt each month, or that 1,000. Sorry, does that make sense?
Right. Yes, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So
So this is
number
really about learning your finances. Go ahead.
right. I was just gonna say, like, step number 6 is a way to kind of expedite that process because we're now bringing money back into our pockets.
And if
Not
you
like,
increase your income, it's even double, right? So when I was in 2012 to 2014, right after I graduated college, I was a single mom in college. And so when I got out of college, I was actually had a job that was decent enough, and I wasn't going to school full time and working part time. I was actually working full time, and I had debt. And so what I did was exactly number 6. I decreased my expenses and increased my income. I kept my bills very simple and modest. At the time, I was moved out at the time, but my rent was only $750. And I had utilities and everything else. But after that, everything else went to paying off debt. Everything else. I put aside $3,500 in savings. And the reason why my emergency fund was $3,500 because at that time, my daughter was going through health issues. Come to find out, she had allergies and she was eating her allergies every day because she was allergic to dairy, wheat, soy, peanut, and egg at the time. And so I didn't know that. And so, like, she's breaking out in hives all the time. She's sick, congested, having asthma stuff. And it was like, what the heck is going on? Come to find out she had allergies. But the reason why I had $3,500 set aside was number one, I was missing work. And luckily, my job was very lenient with me with missing work with her health stuff. But also, so by missing work, my paychecks were shorter. So I needed some of that money to help compensate for paying bills at some months. But then also, if I had any co-pays or get a prescription that wasn't fully covered, I had cash set aside. All right. Any questions about this? I really want to get to chapter 3 and spend some time here. Saving like a squirrel. Saving like a squirrel. Tasha and Brenda, have you both had the chance to read chapter 3 by chance?
I've read already chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
not yet for me.
So I love this one because, and like how we talked about Brenda, her storytelling and her examples, I just love, right? So she really opened even my eyes to thinking about saving in a better way, right? So on page, I believe it's 62. Yes, on page 62, I'm going to read a little bit of the chapter just to kind of set the stage about why using the squirrel analogy, okay? So she says, in New Jersey, where I live, we get hit with the best and worst weather 4 seasons. But even with extreme highs and lows in temperature, you almost never sit in the park in New Jersey and see a sickly squirrel. They not only survive, they thrive because they adapt their behavior to seasonal change. During the seasons when acorns are in abundance, those squirrels don't mess around. They get to work gathering and stashing acorns like nobody's business. They even dig holes and drop the acorns in, planting them for their future. Sounds a lot like investing, right? When winter arrives, the acorn gathering isn't possible. Oh, when winter arrives and acorn gathering isn't possible, they don't stand up, hands on their hips, and say, wait a minute, it's winter again. They knew it was coming and they prepared for it. Those little smarties tucked into their little homes and live off the savings they put aside during the good times. I'm telling you, they are super savvy savers. Human behavior is pretty much the opposite of squirrel behavior. We like to splurge and spend when the times are good. Many of us like to live for the moment without a thought for the future. No judgment, sis. I too often suffer from unsquirrel like behavior. What a little one saying is that even when we're enjoying these good times, we tend to think they're going to last forever. Yet when the good times fade, we think that the bad times are here to stay. In this respect, we are more like an ostrich, burying our heads in the sand and refusing to really acknowledge that life, like the seasons, tend to be cyclical and importantly, just as often driven by forces beyond our control. I love this. I love that part because it really puts in perspective that, okay, if we are above the age of 21, we realize there's cycles and seasons, right? We realize that when you have a car, things are going to break down. We realize that if you have a body, you may or may not need to go to the dentist, to the doctor. You may need a prescription at some point in time. Oh, somebody's entering. There are things that come up that we should be prepared for that we're not. For some reason, like she said, we don't think ahead or think for the future when the snow comes, right? Now, in reality, Brenda, you are in New York. I'm in Michigan. Tasha, where are you? Tasha's here. Tasha's here. She moved from Atlanta, right, Tasha? And now you're here in Michigan?
Correct. Yes, that is
Yes.
correct.
What y'all, Atlanta could get some cool weather too, right? So you might got a little jacket tucked up to the side. You might get a little UGG boot here and there. Y'all get a little boots and booties. So y'all got some seasons as well, right? And we don't act like that when the seasons come, but yet when cycles and seasons in our finances come, we're like shocked, right? And I had to even hold myself accountable years ago when that happened, when this was true, because even in business, depending on what industry you're in, the summertime might be a booming season for you, or it might be a season where everything dries up. Okay. For me, for the financial industry slash like coaching and doing workshops and public speaking, oftentimes the spring and summer, you're not very much in demand. You're in demand in fall and winter when everybody's goal setting, they're locked in, their kids are back at school, so they're eager to learn, right? Like they're not really checking for somebody in the middle of summer when they're trying to go on vacation, right? They're not really trying to learn about finances, and people don't really host workshops that often in the summer. Some people do, but not many, right? So I had to think about that and say, Tara, you need to be preparing financially for the months that are not as lucrative as October, November, December, January, and February, right? So I really had to think about that. What are your thoughts on those? Y'all both can come off the mic. What's your thoughts on that?
I've definitely been guilty of not preparing for the inevitable seasons, and I feel like most recently, just understanding the ebbs and flows of the particular industry I'm in, like in the beauty industry,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, okay, this is the season where everybody wants their silk presses and it's going to be holiday season. So, they want their hair done for parties and this and that. And it's like, I feel like understanding the ebbs and flows of my profession has kind of translated to understanding, you know, having to prepare for the dips and the highs, and because when you know and can expect when there'll be more money coming in, then that's the time, like the squirrels will do, to invest in the season where everybody's not coming in the salon, or so I have been guilty of it, but I am working on it now. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
And that analogy was a great one. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Thank
And
you.
what you can do is what I've done, I kind of identify the months where I know I'm going to have a good month or my typical income, right? And then I identify the months where it'd be great if I did have a great income, but if I don't, I'm not, I kind of expected it, right? And so let's say, for example, if a great month of income is, I'm just going to use a $5,000 um, example for 6 months. Say the fall and winter seasons are my months, right? And spring and summer are not my months, right? So 6 months out the year, I know I can make $5,000. And I will times that by six. Okay, that's $30,000, right? And let's say on the bad months, it's only 2,500 a month, right? So 2,500 a month times 6 months, that's 15 plus 30,000. So that's about $45,000 a year that I plan to make in this one income stream, right? What you can do is you can divide that amount by 12, $3,750, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to act like that's your income every month. So what you do is even if you get paid $5,000 in income, I want you to put that 5,000 minus 3,750, $1,250 in an account that's even different than your emergency fund. This is for those of us who have ebbs and flows and irregular income. Put that $1,250 in a separate savings account from your emergency fund, and you can label it as um, make up for when low income or alternative income or extra income. I don't know what you want to label it, but I want you to look at that as in the months where you're not bringing in $3,700 a month, then you can tap into that money. If you're bringing in more than $3,750 a month, use that income to pay for your expenses. If you have less than that, you can make up the difference with that money. But that means in the good months, you got to put away $1,250 every month away. So when the bad months or the down months come, you can take some money out every month to supplement that income over the next 6 months. And then by the time your good 6 months roll around again, you'll be able to start contributing back to that account. Does that make sense? She says that makes sense. Great.
Yes,
That makes sense to you, Tasha?
absolutely.
It's like we gotta, like, again, it's that planning ahead, taking a step forward and saying, okay, this is what my lifestyle looks like. This is the industry I'm in. There's some industries where it's the same all year round, right? My husband really don't find a dip. He's in the furniture industry. There's so many holidays across the year that they run big sales. He works for a major furniture company and they have a really good customer base. So he don't really see dips in his income, right? So he don't have to necessarily do this extra piece. He can just manage on a certain amount a month and he's fine with that. With me, mine is so up and down depending on the months that I have to do this, right? So if you have a consistent 9 to 5, that's probably not what you have to do. But if you're like how Brenda, you said You're a hairdresser, hairstylist, lash tech, if you're a coach or a consultant, a speaker, even some things like Uber Eats and DoorDash and stuff like that can be different depending on the season, how much you can make and how much in demand that particular thing is. And so you kind of have to compensate and set some money aside during the good months to compensate for those bad months. Now, I want to talk about a concept, and I think Tasha, let me know if you remember this concept, the drop down and get your noodle on concept. Do you remember that one, what she talked about in this book?
I do.
I thought that was funny. I thought that was really funny. And I'm going to try to go to it. It starts on page 72. Okay. So basically, what she's saying here is if you had to pare down your budget so tough to where you only eat ramen noodles and squeeze everything, like just eliminate as many expenses as you can to free up all your cash so it can go towards building your savings account. Why not take advantage of that, right? And she also talks about this is not something you do long term. This is like, and to me, it sounds like a money challenge. I do money challenges where I'll do no spend January, I'll do no spend March, I'll do every other month a no spend month where I only pay for things I absolutely have to pay for, right? And that includes groceries. Like those months, I will make breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of my pantry, freezer, and refrigerator. And the only time I'll go to the grocery store is for like staples. Maybe it's like milk or cheese or eggs or something like that to help me get through all of the food and the meals that I'm preparing from my pantry challenge or freezer challenge, right? I will do those things where it's like I will cut my budget down for the month tremendously just to see how much I can squeeze out of my budget to go towards a financial goal. Let me know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So she's saying if you want to kind of expedite the process of reaching a financial goal quickly, like getting that emergency fund built up, getting that $2,000 in your emergency fund, what can you do over the next 2 months? What could you give up temporarily that can help you just check this off so you can move on to your next financial goal, right? And she talked about basically if you had to live on noodles and not buy any other groceries, could you do it? And like I was saying, my struggle meal is not ramen. My struggle meal, and I feel like I can feed 5,000. It's giving loaves and fishes. It's spaghetti. I feel like spaghetti can stretch so far because you can even put a little bit of meat or no meat in spaghetti, but you can put a little bit of meat in spaghetti. So like one pack of meat, you could get like 4 jars full of tomato sauce for like 99 cents each. Girl, you can get a zucchini and chop up some zucchinis and then put that in there to stretch it. And then you can get some noodles, and the noodles is fairly cheap. And then get you some Parmesan cheese. I just feel like that could just feed a lot of people. Or you can feed yourself for a lot of days and don't go to bed hungry and still be able to squeeze some more money out your budget. I feel like yeah, I love me some pasta. If because this you're just not gonna be hungry, right? It's going to get the job done. Period. And if you're feeling saucy, you can go get a $2 pack of great value. What are those toast garlic bread and put it in the air fryer, put it in the oven for a couple of minutes. Get you some sweet corn with it. That's my struggle meal. If I had to only get $10 to spend on a meal, oh, I'm whipping up some spaghetti, some sweet corn, and some garlic bread for my family. That's what I would tell you that right now. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I wouldn't get ramen. I'm not a ramen girl, but oh, I'll tear up some pasta all day, every day. What about you, Tanya? Tasha, what is your struggle meal?
I'm with you. I don't do the ramen, but I'll definitely tear up some pasta. Absolutely here.
An iPhone user, how are you? What's your name? I just see iPhone.
On me, am I showing up on just as iPhone or am I showing up as
No,
Tasha?
Tasha, I see you as Tasha.
Okay.
I see Brenda's iPhone.
Oh, Tanya, that's you.
Oh, I'm on iPhone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
That's
was like,
me.
wait, I hear Tanya.
I just jumped on. I'm sorry. I had a listing appointment that went long. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm glad I
Hey.
jump on for
Hey,
the end.
Tanya.
Yeah, say welcome. Thank you for joining.
Yes. So Tanya or Brenda, this is Tanya. Tanya is the executive director of 1,000 Families of Color, and she was the program that I told you about that serves the community that I'm in, the nonprofit that I'm partnered with. She's the executive director, so she usually pops on when she's able to kind of say hi, to show a face to a name, in the community. Brenda is actually from New York. She was on my
Wonderful.
email list. Yeah. And so she popped on because she's seen the email on my email list. So yeah, it is so great to meet her. And
Beautiful. It's
yeah,
nice to meet you.
Yes.
Happy to
Thank
be here. And
thank
that
you.
is such a beautiful initiative. I will definitely, look into it and support and follow. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And tell your friends. Like we all have friends that need we don't always know that our friends need what we're getting, but if you're getting something that's helping you in your financial journey, share, 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 because you know somebody might hear that that you're just moving ahead or doing something that you've always wanted to do or moving in a positive direction the way that you wanted to and might need some help. You just never know, or might need an encouraging word, or just might need to be inspired. Tara is going to do that for you. So uh, I love, love, love this Get Good with Money resource that she is teaching from. I believe in it. I've done it again, time and time again myself,
me too.
because you don't ever get it right the first time. Or at least I don't know many people who get it right the first time, but it's something that you just never stop trying to master because we want to leave a legacy of wealth for our children's children. At least that's my uh, mission.
Hmm.
So thank you all for being a part.
Yeah, and Tanya, exactly what you said. I've been doing this, man. When did I launch Your Pretty Pennies? 2014, and it is 2025. And like my mother-in-law says, I'm still on the wheel, meaning like you don't ever arrive, right? You're constantly having to go with the ebbs and flows of the financial market, your personal income and expense fluctuations in your household, life events, right? There's so many different things that happen throughout life that affects our finances. And so having a book like this, having workshops and engagement and community and accountability like this keeps us moving forward positively, right? In
Yeah,
life, there are times where we can go 5 steps and then get knocked back two, and then we think life is over. And it's like, nope, you just got to get up and take 5 more steps. And you might get knocked down one that time, and that's okay, right? Life is going to have its ups and downs, but we can't
that's
just
right.
not. We just got to stay on the wheel. Like my mother-in-law said, just stay on the wheel, meaning like just don't fall off, don't get off, keep trying, right?
That
Yep.
is so true. And thank you guys so much. Tanya, thank you too. And Tara, thank you. It's a wealth of information, and you may not get it the first time. And with me repeating the course, I appreciate that because it's going to help me further along where I'm able to help someone else. And
Yeah,
again,
Yes.
I will share this information. And I
absolutely.
could just say that I don't even know
Yeah,
how to say it, but it'll be okay. That's all I
Yeah.
can say, that I see a light at the end of the tunnel. So
Yes.
I'll just
oh,
leave
And
it to that.
Tanya has taken advantage. And Brenda, before we get off, I just want to let you know that I do offer one-on-one coaching. And Tanya is in the one-on-one coaching with me. Typically, everybody who comes in takes advantage of it. And when I tell you we are making strides, and her mindset is very positive, just like with the others. And I absolutely love working one on one with individuals. And so I'm just so thankful that Tasha, and there's a few others who come every month, no matter how many times they've been through it. And I don't know about you, Tasha, but doesn't it feel like you're part of a group, or like a money circle or a sister circle about finances, where like every time we get on, the conversation leads in a way you wasn't expected, but it leads in a way you know you needed. You didn't even know you needed
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Every time it's a new, like, people can pick out, depending on who's on the call, we pick out different things to highlight and talk about and encourage each other on. And so, yeah, don't think, Brenda, that you have to come to just one. Come to as many as you would like.
Will do. And I will
Yeah.
bring a friend. I will bring a
Mhm.
friend because, like you said, I did not expect it to be like this. But it was exactly what I needed today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I thank you.
And
I thank you all. Mhm.
this is so good. Any questions? We have about 4 minutes. I like to leave some time for questions. And again, I don't have to run off right at 8. But I do have a hard stop at 8:30. But any questions, thoughts, comments that you want to talk about?
I had a mortgage lender ask me for the link, and I just saw it a few minutes ago. So Andrea Bradshaw might be on next time.
Next week. Okay, I'll be looking for
Okay.
her. And again,
Okay.
I was going to say, and I still have so many people who are professionals in the financial industry who come on and then text me afterwards and are like, thank you for that word. I needed to hear that. I needed to remember that, right? So don't think, Brenda, Tasha, just because you may not be in the financial industry and you hear me up here talking, I'm on the wheel too. When I talk and do this, I'm reminding myself of this, right? I always say, yes, I'm a financial coach, but I am a reformed spendaholic. And every time it tries to rear his head, like every couple of times, especially if you're going through something emotional,
Yeah.
traumatic, childhood trauma, those things will trigger how you show up in other areas. And so you are definitely not alone. You are not alone. And so any questions, whether you want to email them to me or message me on social media, feel free. If you don't want to ask here, I'm also open and willing to help in that way as well. All right. So next week we'll be covering chapters 4, 5, and 6. And let me think. Let me try to say them without looking, since I've been doing this so long. So chapter 4 is going to be on debt repayment. Chapter 5 is going to be on, actually it's 4 through 7. So chapter 4 is debt repayment. Chapter 5 is credit, I think. Chapter 6 is increasing your income. Chapter 7 is wealth building, retirement and wealth building. I'm confused between the income and the credit. Let me see if I got it right. Let's see. Chapter 5. I did it. Yay, I did it right. Okay, let's go. See, these are my personal little challenges. I'm competitive, so I have to do these little things to make things fun. And so yeah. Also, y'all want to see the baby? Do they want to see the baby? He's
Yeah.
back here. Yay, say hi. So, Brenda, I am 5 months postpartum. Come say
Beautiful.
hi. Say hi. Say hi, Tanya. Oh, Tanya left.
You're so handsome.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is baby boy. And sometimes he likes to hang out with
He's
mommy.
handsome.
Thank
Cute.
you. Thank you. Well, you all have a good night, Tasha. If you can stay on, I'm just going to stop recording and then we could chat for a bit.
Absolutely.
You have a
Thank
good
you so
night,
much,
Brenda. See you
Tara. It was
next
nice meeting you,
week.
Tasha.
Nice meeting you. Have a good
You
Thank
night.
you.
too. Bye
You
bye.
too.
So stop my share and unmute myself. Okay, Tasha, I just got to make sure I'm not recording. There we go.